Exclusive contract with Feilu Novel Network Novel. Opening. StarCraft female soldiers welcoming first male captain after crossing over, Sun He became the first male captain of an interstellar fleet with only female soldiers. The poor and backward starship, impoverished living environment, and the dilemma of the fleet's imminent dissolution. No starship. Let's make it ourselves. From interstellar frigates to interstellar destroyers and interstellar battleships cruisers, build whatever is missing. The interstellar battleship with giant ships and cannons, entering the field is killing. There are also interstellar aircraft carriers and starships that lead drones and interstellar fighter jets to conquer the starry sea. Take you to taste despair. Is it known that the universe is currently studying T4 technology? Sorry, we have just commissioned 10 T4 technology starships. Living environment. The treatment of female soldiers in our Qingyuan Fleet is currently the best in the entire galaxy. 5 meals a day, manage to be full. Losing weight or something is not allowed. Female soldier. Wuwuwu, after serving for 3 months, I have gained 3 pounds. Introduction is weak, please refer to the main text. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. At the beginning of Chapter 1, 3,000 female soldiers welcome Captain Sun He. You are listening at novel full.Audio. Sun He, 26 years old, is an orphan who completed 9 years of compulsory education with the support of the Alliance. He was admitted to university with his own scholarship and graduated from the top engineering college in Orion with a master's degree. A tall woman wearing a black military uniform looked coldly at the man standing in her yard wearing a panda pajama. Behind this female officer, there are also dozens of beautiful female soldiers. You. Looking for me? Sun He was dumbfounded. He had just traveled and figured out the situation in this world when suddenly a beautiful woman came knocking on his door. And this posture Sun He raised his head and looked up at a giant warship floating in mid-air above him. Is this an interstellar battleship? It's really too huge, equivalent to an aircraft carrier from a previous life, and it's this huge object that floats in mid-air. It's simply unbelievable. The person is right. The beautiful officer suddenly knelt down on one knee, holding a stack of documents with both hands. There was also an emblem with a blue phoenix texture on top of the documents. A dozen or so female soldiers behind them also knelt down on one knee. Tang Yuan, the deputy captain of the Qingyuan, was ordered to represent the 3,000 female soldiers on board to welcome Captain Sun He. Captain Sun He. Are you referring to me? Sun He was dumbfounded. He had just crossed over and suddenly became the captain. Ding, strongest captain system successfully bound, get beginner gift pack activation. Congratulations on obtaining talent. Top Starship full-time engineer, congratulations on obtaining the identity of captain, congratulations on obtaining a blueprint for the Owl Dragon interstellar fighter jet, Goldfinger. Oh yes, the essential little expert for travelers is indispensable. But why could you arrange a captain's identity for me directly? Look, there's actually a male captain there. How could this be? For 1,000 years, there has never been a male captain in our galactic alliance. Isn't it a woman disguised as a man? People passing by pointed and even took photos and sent them online when they saw this scene. Look, the first male captain of the Alliance has been born. Your Excellency, the Qingyuan cannot stay in the atmosphere of the planet for too long. Please board with us, said Vice Captain Tang Yuan coldly. Wait a moment. I still don't understand. As far as I know, there has never been a male captain in the Alliance. Why did I suddenly become the captain of the Qingyuan? Sun He asked his own question. Is it because the system gave me this inexplicable reward? You know the highest level artificial intelligence brain within the Alliance, asked Vice Captain Tang Yuan. I've heard of it, it seems like the smartest computer. Sun He scratched his head and said, "But what does this have to do with me? The appointment of captains for all interstellar warships within the Alliance is entirely the responsibility of Senior Intelligence Brain. You are the captain assigned by Intelligence Brain to our Qingyuan ship. Although we were also surprised, no one can disobey the commands of the advanced brain, so we are here to welcome you now." Vice Captain Tang Yuan's indifferent eyes carried a hint of dissatisfaction, indicating that she didn't appreciate the captain assigned to her in front of her. Sun He finally understood that this was probably a command issued by the system through this intelligent brain. Additionally, according to the regulations of the Alliance, any high-achieving students who graduate with funding from the Alliance must unconditionally comply with the Alliance's arrangements and dispatch within 5 years after graduation. Otherwise, it will be considered a violation of the law. "Captain Sun He, can we board the ship now?" After Vice Captain Tang Yuan finished speaking, without waiting for Sun He's consent, he turned around and instructed his subordinates to lead the new captain to board the ship. "Captain, please." 2 female soldiers, one by one, grabbed Sun He and boarded the small transport plane parked at the door. Hey. I still haven't moved my bow yet." Sun He struggled, but the female soldiers next to him had all received enhanced potions. The brain domain is 3 times that of an ordinary person, and the physique is equivalent to a top-level human warrior. So Sun He, a man in his prime, was like carrying a chicken in front of them. In the end, under the curious and surprised gaze of passers-by, the small transport plane took off and returned to the interstellar battleship. The interstellar battleship slowly sailed out of the atmosphere. Sun He, still wearing pajamas, was invited into his bedroom. "This will be your bedroom from now on, and all your gifts will be here. As for the collections inside your computer and under your bed, they have been destroyed by us. Because there was no previous example of a male captain, the male captain's uniform needs to be customized. You should wear this men's military uniform first." Vice Captain Tang Yuan glanced at his watch and said coldly, "I'll give you 30 minutes to prepare. In 30 minutes, someone will come over to familiarize you with the situation of the Qingyuan and meet the soldiers on our ship." After speaking, Vice Captain Tang Yuan closed the door and left directly. Sun He looked at a suitcase and a men's military uniform placed on the table in front of him. "Why don't you feel like you're here to be a captain?" Sun He instinctively pushed open the door. "Captain, do you need anything?" A tall female soldier blocked the door directly. Cough. It's okay. I just want to see if this door is locked." Sun He closed the door again with a smile. "It seems that I can only listen to the arrangements of the beautiful deputy captain now. But my room is really nice. It can be considered a presidential suite, with a bedroom, study, bathtub, and even entertainment facilities. It doesn't seem like a warship at all. Let's figure out what's going on with this system first." Sun He closed his eyes. "Captain. Sun He talent. Top Starship full-time engineer reputation value. 0 warehouse. A drawing of the Xiaolong interstellar fighter jet content that is so simple that it cannot be further simplified. As for the introduction of that reputation value, Sun He can obtain reputation value from his own sailors, and reputation value can be used to exchange for treasure chests, which contain various rewards. A very traditional golden finger setting. And now, in the eyes of those female soldiers, Sun He is just a captain from heaven, so naturally he has little reputation. The blueprint for the Xiaolong interstellar fighter. Sun He opened the item he had just received from the beginner's gift pack. Subsequently, a series of data materials appeared in Sun He's mind. It's also magical to say that Sun He understood these things at a glance, as if he was looking at 1 + 1 = 2. Is it because of my talent as a top full-time engineer for starships? Sun He muttered. However, it is worth mentioning that from my own memories of studying, this Owl Dragon interstellar fighter jet is definitely the most advanced fighter jet in this era, not one of them. It seems that this is truly preparing oneself to build a strong fleet. Bump 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 bump. Captain, you'd better hurry up. The deputy captain hates it when others are late. The voice of the female soldier's reminder came from outside the door. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. A fleet with only one carrier starship. You are listening at novel full.Audio. Qingyuan Bridge. Tang Yuan is currently rubbing her temples here. Tang Jie, has the male captain picked him up? How's the first man on our Qingyuan? A blonde beauty with a cigarette in her mouth crossed her legs. A student dressed up, Tang Yuan said. The blonde curled her lips and said, I really don't know if that intellectual brain is having a seizure. He even arranged for us to have a male captain. A male captain is useless. Can he pilot a fighter jet? Can he pilot a mecha? Or can he fire a gun and hit a plane? Tang Yuan looked deep through the glass at the stars outside and said, no matter what, he is arranged by his intelligence. I hope he can obediently obey. Wow! A scream came. The gaze of the female soldiers inside the bridge was drawn away. This scene is also too beautiful, too shocking. Sun He saw the scenery of the universe outside the window, which was the first time he had seen such a scenery. The vast Milky Way is brilliant and colorful. Is this our male captain? Not to mention, he looks quite handsome. Being handsome is useless. A man like this who cannot be reinforced with injectable drugs can't even fly a fighter jet, it's just a decoration. Who said it's not? A man who hasn't been injected with a booster cannot stay inside a warship for more than 72 hours without entering the hibernation chamber. The female soldiers were whispering. Pa, this is the sound of Tang Yuan's shoes hitting the floor. Hello, Captain. Upon hearing Tang Yuan's voice, other female soldiers also reacted and saluted in the direction of Sun He. Hello, Captain. Seeing a group of young women greeting him, Sun He still felt a little excited. Hello. Hello. Captain Sun, this is the bridge of our Qingyuan. Let me first introduce the situation of our Qingyuan. Qingyuan is a light aircraft carrier starship with a total of 3,000 people. There are 2,500 combat personnel and 500 non-combat personnel. The combat mode is mainly based on interstellar carrier-based aircraft, with more than 100 types of carrier-based aircraft. In addition, it is equipped with defensive artillery and combat mecha. So far, except for Captain Sun, there have been no male soldiers. Vice Captain Tang Yuan looked at Sun He and said. We will organize a meeting later, and Captain Sun can watch it then. Report. Urgent notice. At this moment, a female soldier suddenly stood up. Speak up. At this moment, Vice Captain Tang Yuan's aura was completely different, like a sharp sword. Latest notice, originally scheduled for the Battle of Sarah on July 10th, has been advanced to July 5th, requiring our ship to enter the battlefield early. Vice Captain Tang Yuan frowned and said, do we have time? If departing now, a 72-hour sub-light speed voyage can arrive at the designated battlefield 3 hours in advance. Okay. Give me the order. After all personnel have lunch, except for the most basic left-behind personnel, they will enter the hibernation chamber and go to sleep. The Qingyuan will sail at sub-light speed, targeting the Sarah star. Deputy Captain Tang Yuan gave the order directly. At this moment, Sun He saw a hint of sadness in the eyes of the female soldiers around the bridge. Wait. Why did I have a battle right now? Sun He looked at Deputy Captain Tang Yuan in surprise. This is Rona, the best mecha engineer on our Qingyuan ship. Let her explain it to you. As for your meeting, we can only cancel it. Deputy Captain Tang Yuan seemed very busy at the moment and directly pushed the matter to Rona, who was smoking a cigarette next to her. Son, he looked at the blonde girl. Captain Son, let me explain to you. First, according to the rules of our Galactic Alliance, the military is divided into two types. Private Army and Lord Army. The latter are the armies organized and supported by the lords themselves, while we belong to the former, and the army is actually more like mercenaries. Whoever gives us money, we work for them. Rona shrugged her shoulders. Son, he nodded, knowing this information. Although it is now the interstellar era, due to the rapid increase in population, various resources are rapidly being consumed, which has led to various interstellar wars and continuous expansion of territory. Find planets that are suitable for habitation or have resources. War naturally cannot be without the army. And our situation with the Qingyuan is actually not very good. To be honest, it's just a financial deficit and we don't have any money on our books. And this battle mission is something we finally received. Rona lifted her hand, pressed the instrument on her wrist, and opened a star chart. The planet Sarah is located on the border of our Galactic Alliance and is a resource star of the Kingdom of Yuak. The Galactic Alliance Grizzly Lord happened to be interested in this resource star and formulated this Sarah campaign to seize it. The Grizzly Lord's fleet will launch an attack on the planet Sarah at that time, and the Kingdom of Yuak will definitely send reinforcements from several surrounding star systems. Our mission is to intercept a group of Yuak fleets supported by neighboring galaxies at this location for 3 hours. Even if our mission is completed, Son, he nodded clearly. This was his first time encountering this kind of interstellar battle, and it was quite interesting. Wait. Son, he suddenly sensed something was wrong. Are we the only ones responsible for this interception mission? Rona nodded and said, that's right, our Qingyuan Fleet took on this mission. Did our fleet's interstellar battleships and destroyers come to rendezvous elsewhere? Son, he looked out the window, and in this universe, the surroundings of the Qingyuan were empty. What are you talking about? There's no battleship or destroyer, Rona chuckled. Several black lines appeared on Sun He's forehead. A normal fleet with aircraft carriers and starships should have 2 interstellar battleships, 4 interstellar cruisers, 6 interstellar destroyers, 6 frigates, and 5 supply ships, totaling no less than 20 interstellar battleships. These are all knowledge in Sun He's mind. Rona took a sip of her cigarette and puffed out her cigarette ring, saying, there used to be some, but I didn't mention it earlier. We've been running a budget deficit all along, and some starships are broken and sold out without money to repair. So far, only the Qingyuan under your feet is left. You tell me, a fleet only has 1 aircraft carrier starship. Sun He took a deep breath, wondering what absurd configuration this was. Isn't this like a naked warrior fighting against others? At present, the situation of our Qingyuan fleet is indeed like this. Therefore, we must complete this task, otherwise our fleet will have to disband due to the depletion of funds, Deputy Captain Tang Yuan interjected beside us. Out of funds. This system is actually giving itself a fleet that needs no money. Sun Haqiang suppressed the urge to pat the table and asked again, how strong will the enemy fleet we want to intercept be? It is expected that there will be 10 interstellar destroyers. Upon hearing this news, Sun He rolled his eyes directly. You're just joking about the lives of 3,000 people on the Qingyuan. Sun He couldn't help but scold angrily, what's the difference between such a mission and sending someone to death? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Without Qingyuan in Chapter 3, these female soldiers would have to flee. You are listening at novel full.Audio. Sun He's words made the entire bridge quiet. Vice Captain Tang Yuan stared at Sun He with his eyes and said, you're right. This is indeed a battle that is almost like a death sentence. The calculated victory rate is less than 20%. But this is the only hope for the existence of the Qingyuan Fleet. Vice Captain Tang Yuan pointed at Sun He and said coldly, "We are all girls born in poverty, from different galaxies, and even from different races. Unlike you, a captain, a top student from a prestigious university, you can easily find a suitable job outside with a decent salary. And we can't. We're not as smart as you. We can only rely on our own bodies, inject that damn potion, and become interstellar female soldiers just to make a living." Vice Captain Tang Yuan pointed to Rona next to Sun He and said, "Rona, the demon clan of the female demon system. In the battle, our army took their homes and turned them into slaves. Becoming an interstellar female soldier is her only hope for freedom." Rona's mouth curved upwards, revealing her two noticeably larger tiger teeth. Some of them were found faint in the street because of hunger, some were bullied because they stole food, and some of their young sisters had to beg for food from the army. The girls in the fleet are all poor and losers, and they reluctantly enlist in the military, doing this job of a life or death. If Qingyuan has enough funds to operate, there will only be one outcome: dissolve. And these female soldiers of Qingyuan will lose their only job. They will once again wander on the streets, have no food to eat, and even go astray. Vice Captain Tang Yuan clenched his fist and said, "So, no matter what, we must let Qingyuan survive. The reward for this mission is enough to keep Qingyuan going for another 6 months." Upon hearing Tang Yuan's words, Sun He was stunned. He looked around at the silent female soldiers. All right, I know it's no use talking to you about this. Rona, take him down to dinner and then let him rest in the hibernation chamber." Deputy Captain Tang Yuan didn't want to continue talking to Sun He. She looked at Sun He and said, "Don't worry, I won't let you accompany Qingyuan on an adventure. When the battle starts, I will leave you an escape pod and drop you to the nearest planet." After speaking, Vice Captain Tang Yuan left. I haven't finished speaking yet." Sun He was speechless, and Tang Yuan really didn't take himself seriously. "I don't have time to accompany this talented student, Rong. He'll leave it to you." Rona finished smoking and walked away directly. The task assigned to him by the deputy captain was directly handed over to a sweet and quiet-looking girl next to him. Okay. The girl walked up to Sun He, feeling a bit restrained. She stood up straight and saluted, "Hello Captain, I am Xiao Rongrong, the secretary of the deputy captain." "Captain, Sister Tang is so angry. She is all for the good of the sisters on the ship. Let me take you to the dining room first." Xiao Rongrong also specially spoke for Vice Captain Tang Yuan. Sun He sighed and followed Xiao Rongrong off the bridge to the restaurant. The restaurant is large enough to accommodate 1,000 people for dining, and this is just one of the restaurants on the Qingyuan ship. When Sun He stepped into this place, he immediately caught the attention of almost all the female soldiers. After all, on this starship with only female soldiers, there is a man who is still the first male captain. How could it not attract attention, even though he has become a hot topic on the Qingyuan ship? "Are we going to queue up over there to receive food?" Sun He looked at the queue in the distance and touched his stomach. From being robbed to now, he hasn't eaten anything. "You are the captain, and your meal is specific. Please sit down over there first, and I will bring it to you." Xiao Rongrong walked towards the kitchen. Sun He also found an empty seat to sit down. He looked around at the female soldiers and saw that their plates only had green substances like rice and vegetable leaves. "Captain, this is your food." Xiao Rongrong placed a plate in front of Sun He and sat beside her holding her own plate. Sun He looked at the plate in front of him. White rice, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, a chicken leg, and a pickled vegetable soup. Looking at Xiao Rongrong next to her, she has the same food as those female soldiers. "Why are our food different?" Sun He asked. "This is because there is a strict hierarchical system in the fleet, and people with higher positions naturally enjoy better treatment. For example, as a secretary, I could have eaten better, but due to recent food and captain, your belongs to the captain package, Xiao Rongrong whispered. Sun He suddenly reached out and exchanged Xiao Rongrong and his own plate. Captain. Change it today, I'll have this one. But. This is a command. Sun He picked up his chopsticks and picked up the food in front of him, which looked like vegetable leaves and was still a paste. Put it in your mouth. Sun He almost didn't spit it out. The taste was not the same as that of vegetables, just like eating plastic. What kind of dish, why is it just that delicious? Sun He frowned. This is a synthetic vegetable. Although it doesn't taste very good, it provides ample energy and is mainly cheap. Actually, everyone is used to it, so it's nothing. Captain, why don't you exchange it with me? Xiao Rongrong looked at Sun He with a hint of pleading. Why, if you can eat, I can't. Sun He squeezed out a smile, suppressed his discomfort, and ate the meal. It's hard to believe that these female soldiers usually eat such food. Xiao Rongrong had no choice but to eat Sun He's food, and it was evident that she still enjoyed it very much. However, she also voluntarily gave the chicken legs to a girl who looked less than 18 years old. By the way, why are these female soldiers so young? They don't seem to be over 40 years old. Sun He noticed a question at this moment. Don't you know? Fortification potions can strengthen our brain and physique, but there is still an unsolvable problem, which is that the lifespan of our interstellar female soldiers has been shortened to 10 or 20 years. In addition, the recruitment age is between 16 and 25 years old, so the age of interstellar female soldiers is relatively young. Xiao Rongrong lightly sketched and wrote about this matter. But in Sun He's view, it was like a thunderbolt. Injected with a strengthening agent, leaving only 20 years of lifespan. Even for 10 years. Do you know this, and you also injected a booster? Sun He asked. Xiao Rongrong smiled bitterly and said, yes. What else should we do? Tang Jia is right, we are either poor or failures. If we don't become interstellar female soldiers, we won't even have food to survive. And becoming interstellar female soldiers, at least we can still live and the salary we receive can be sent to our loved ones. Compared to other fleets, Qingyuan is already very good, and some fleets simply don't consider interstellar female soldiers as human beings. Sun He felt like a lump in his throat at this moment. He understood why Tang Yuan insisted on carrying out such a dangerous task in order to protect Qingyuan. Since I have become the captain of the Qingyuan Fleet, I will not let the Qingyuan Fleet live like this. Sun He made a decision secretly in his heart. This Battle of Sarah will become a turning point for the Green Kite Fleet, a new starting point. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. During the major renovation of fighter jets, a new book seeks support. You are listening at novel full.audio. Go back to your luxurious captain's room. Sun He first began to ponder the next arrangements. The mission of Sarah Star seems inevitable, and we have already accepted it. If we renege, just a penalty can cause the Qingyuan Fleet to fall apart. Sun He just learned more from the secretary Xiao Rongrong. The interception mission of Sarah, Grizzly Lord offered a reward of 100,000 units of crystal mine. Crystal ore is equivalent to past life gold and is a hard currency of this interstellar era. Although its cost-effectiveness is average, it can be widely used in various industries and its price has always been stable. You should know that the Qingyuan Fleet only earned 300,000 units of crystal ore in the past year. It can be imagined how important the remuneration of 100,000 units of crystal ore is for the Qingyuan Fleet, which is about to run out of funds. According to Secretary Xiao Rongrong, if this task is not carried out, the resources of the Qingyuan Fleet can only sustain for a maximum of half a month. Let me take a look at the combat power of this Qingyuan first. Sun He looked at the computer in the room. He walked up to the computer and a projection screen appeared in front of him. May I ask if there is anything I can help with? The mechanical voice of the female voice came in. I want to check the combat effectiveness of the Qingyuan, son, he said. Access is required to check the combat effectiveness of the Qingyuan. Permissions. Son, he frowned slightly. If he had asked Tang Yuan for permission, she would not have given him. He seems to have overlooked something. Son, he quickly looked at his desk. There was also a stack of documents placed there, which were some basic documents that Tang Yuan gave him when he came to greet him, including some simple introductions to the information of the Qingyuan ship. These are secondary, and the most important one is the emblem of the blue kite pattern on the document. Son, he took the coat of arms and tried to place it in front of the projection screen. Then a beam of light shone on the emblem. Determining permissions. Permission confirmed. Welcome Captain Sun He of the Qingyuan. Successfully logged in. Although Tang Yuan did not give himself real power, his identity as a captain is still genuine. Switch to manual mode. Sun, he ordered. Enter manual mode. There is an additional projection keyboard in front of the projection screen. Sun, he moved out his chair and began operating the computer, consulting all the information about the Qingyuan, most notably in terms of combat effectiveness. This is just too bad, isn't it? There are over 100 interstellar carrier-based aircraft, not even a T3 level 1. The most are T1 level Grey Wolf fighter jets, only 14 T2 level Wasp fighter jets. Sun, he covered his face. According to the weapon level of this era, each type of weapon is divided into 3 technological levels. T1, T2, and T3. T3 is currently the highest technological standard in the Galactic Alliance. And the Qingyuan itself is only a T1 level interstellar aircraft carrier, and there is not even a T3 interstellar fighter on board. How can we fight against them? Sun He's mind flashed with the design drawings of his JFK fighter jet. The data from the Xiaolong fighter jet is the most authentic and top-notch T3 interstellar fighter jet. It's too late to build the Xiaolong now. However, according to the standards of the Xiaolong, you can use the parts of those old-fashioned interstellar fighters to piece them together, and within 3 days, you should be able to make a few more. Then, a certain degree of upgrading will be carried out on the Chufeng and Grey Wolf fighter jets, in order to have a chance of winning this battle. Sun, he came up with a solution. But there is a problem with this method. Tang Yuan, this woman will definitely not believe herself. After all, who would believe that a man who suddenly appeared and told you I had a way to save you would probably lock Sun He directly into a small black room? It seems that we can only come quietly. Sun He stared at the projection screen and retrieved all the information of the entire Qingyuan ship, and he also obtained the highest authority for each location of the entire Qingyuan ship. He decided to carry out a transformation of the fighter jets on the Qingyuan ship within 3 days, without even realizing it. Lunch has ended, and over 3,000 interstellar female soldiers have entered the hibernation chamber one after another. They will stay in the hibernation chamber for 3 days, and when they wake up after 3 days, they will face a dangerous battle. Tang Yuan also sat in his hibernation chamber. Rong, I'll leave the matter of the Qingyuan to you in the next 3 days. Tang Yuan looked at her secretary. Secretary Qiao Rong nodded as she looked at the female soldiers who had entered the hibernation chamber one by one. She said with a hint of sadness, when this may be the end of their lives, they should waste their time in the hibernation chamber. This is also something we can't do. The energy of the Qingyuan is running low. We have saved as much energy as possible to prepare for the interception mission of Sarah. Sleep is currently the most energy-efficient way, Tang Yuan said lightly. I know. Secretary Qiao Rong lightly bit her vermilion lips, feeling a bit sad. How's the captain doing? Tang Yuan suddenly asked. Captain Sun He has a dedicated hibernation chamber in his bedroom, where he will rest, replied Secretary Qiao Rong. Okay, by the way. There's one more thing I need you to do then, Tang Yuan whispered to the Secretary Qiao Rong's ear. Secretary Qiao Rongrong's expression underwent a subtle change. "Alright, I'm going to sleep now. If there's any urgent situation, you can wake me up directly." "Yes." Tang Yuan lay in a dormant chamber and immediately fell into a dormant state when the gate was closed. Report, all 2,900 interstellar female soldiers on the Qingyuan spacecraft have entered a dormant state, reported the female soldiers gathering nearby. Secretary Qiao Rongrong took a deep breath and said, "From now on, the entire ship will enter the lowest consumption state and sail at sub-light speed to the mission theater." Yes. The once bustling and busy bridge now has only about 10 people left. Subsequently, all the systems that could be shut down on the Qingyuan ship were shut down, even the lighting lights were turned off by 90%, as if a world had entered a dream. Sun He, who was supposed to sleep in his own bedroom, is now walking alone in the hallway. Cha-cha-cha-cha, the light above suddenly dimmed, leaving only the last dim glow in the entire hallway. "It seems that everyone has entered a dormant state," Sun He muttered. And by this time he had already arrived at his destination. He lifted his head and looked at the huge steel gate in front of him. Aircraft warehouse. Sun He entered the permission, opened the door, and then interrupted the entire connection between the aircraft warehouse and the bridge. In this way, no matter how much noise he makes in the fighter jet warehouse, no one will hear him. "We're going to start work, where should we start first?" Sun He turned on the lights of the entire aircraft warehouse and looked at the neatly parked planes, his mouth curling up. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Fighting for 3,000 Girls. New book. You are listening at novel full.audio. The system of this Grey Wolf fighter jet is too old. It's simply an antique. First, upgrade this system and use the system of the JFK fighter jet. Although I don't know how much effect it can have, it is at least several times better than the original system. And this weapon device has an energy conversion power of only 30%. With the setting of Owl Dragon, it can be increased to at least 60%. Sun He personally transformed all over 100 fighter jets in the entire hangar. Although Sun He was actually the first to encounter these fighter jets, due to his talent as a full-time engineer on top starships, at the moment Sun He acquired the tools. He was like a doctor standing on the operating table, and all his movements were subconscious. There was no difficulty at all. He skillfully used a robotic arm to open the outer shell of each fighter jet, modify the hardware and software inside, and personally did every step. Finally, although the appearance of these Wasp fighter jets and Grey Wolf fighter jets has not changed much, but their inner selves are completely different, and can even be described as being completely transformed. The combat power has at least doubled. Even if we add the assassin's mace installed by Sun He, these 100 fighter jets are equivalent to the combat power of the original 1,000 fighter jets. This made Sun He start to look forward to what kind of expression those interstellar female soldiers would show when piloting these interstellar fighter jets. Unfortunately, the Qingyuan fighter jet warehouse doesn't have industrial robots, otherwise it wouldn't be so troublesome. It took me 2 full days to tinker with these things. When the Qingyuan fleet becomes wealthy, they must purchase a batch. Sun He almost collapsed and fell to the ground. His clothes were already soaked in sweat and his body was very tired. But soon he stood up unsteadily again. Still. I can't rest yet. Sun He was panting heavily as he thought of those interstellar female soldiers. One day. Another day, they would be piloting these fighter jets to the battlefield. I must try my best to do every step well, and with a little more effort, I may make a girl come back alive. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Sun He took off his worn-out gloves and dragged his body covered in engine oil towards the depths of the hangar. Inside, there are stored fighter jets, usually damaged loot fighter jets or damaged friendly fighter jets. To put it bluntly, it's the fighter jet cemetery. Sun He's final step is to select the usable parts from these fighter jet graveyards, and in this last day's time, piece together a brand new fighter jet that can be piloted. Perhaps in the eyes of others, this is completely impossible to achieve. But in front of Sun He, the top full.time engineer of a starship, this is nothing. Operating tools such as robotic arms, Sun He began his work. 3 hours. A fighter jet disguised as a Wolf fighter jet with a similarity of up to 90% appeared in the hangar. Not bad, the performance of the fighter jet is equivalent to that of the top-tier fighter jets in the T2 series, much better than the original B fighter jets. Sun He was pleased with his achievements. He glanced at his watch. There are still over 20 hours left, and according to his estimation, at least 9 more fighter jets can be gathered from the garbage here. Sun He, you can do it. For the 3,000 girls on the entire ship. Sun He shouted, trembling as he grabbed the robotic arm again. 20 hours later. The lights in the fighter jet warehouse were turned off, and everything returned to silence, as if no one had come. Sun He supported the wall and slowly walked towards his bedroom. He felt his hands and feet were very heavy, as if they had been filled with cement. On the one hand, it was because he was too tired and worked continuously for 72 hours without any rest. During this period, besides drinking a few sips of water brought from the captain's bedroom and a few small breads, he did not eat anything. On the other hand, it is because he has reached the limit of a normal human body. In a spaceship in the universe, a normal human body can only stay for 72 hours. If this time is exceeded, his physical functions will decline completely and he will eventually go into shock. According to scientists, this belongs to a type of cosmic radiation that humans cannot resist on their own. Although it is possible to take some medication, wear some equipment, and enter a hibernation chamber to resist this cosmic radiation, the cost is very expensive and cannot be used in bulk. And it was at this time that a strengthening potion specifically designed for interstellar female soldiers appeared. The manufacturing cost of booster drugs is quite low, allowing injected interstellar female soldiers to ignore cosmic radiation and fight freely in the universe while piloting fighter jets. Although this may reduce the lifespan of female soldiers, for those lords and large corporations, their lives are the cheapest. If one group dies, if possible, we can recruit another group. And Sun He's body has reached this limit. However, he finally completed what he wanted to do within the expected time. Sun He suddenly stopped in the corridor and looked into the transparent glass window next to him. That is a hibernation chamber, where the female soldiers of the Qingyuan are resting. Among them are girls who have just enlisted at the age of 16, as well as veterans who have already experienced several battles. Sun He clenched his fist, even though his lifespan was already limited, he still had to spend it in a hibernation chamber. He knew that Tang Yuan's arrangement was to save the energy consumption of the Qingyuan during the battle. But it should be noted that the lifespan of these interstellar female soldiers who have been injected with reinforcement drugs is only over 10 years, even if they are in a dormant state, this time is counted. It can be imagined how painful it is to waste a small amount of time in the hibernation chamber. You will survive. I assure you as the captain of the Qingyuan. Sun He gritted his teeth and said. Not only did he survive this battle, but he will also find ways to solve the side effects of the medicine in the future. Sun He continued to support the wall and walk forward. All he had to do now was return to his bedroom, lie down in his hibernation chamber, and rest well. I'm just too tired. Damn it, after this battle, I must make Tang Yuan, that woman, thank me well and dare to look down on me. The captain himself is a real deal. According to the report, we have reached the border of the kingdom of Iwak and will be able to reach the designated mission location by sailing for another hour. There are still 5 hours left until the scheduled start of the war report on the Bridge Women's Soldier Gathering. Xiao Rongrong, the secretary, looked out of the window at the stars. Crossing this line, their 3,000 sisters of the green kite were about to enter the battlefield. Continue sailing and prepare to awaken all sleeping female soldiers. The battle. Is about to begin. P.S. New book seeking various support, flowers, review tickets. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. What I want in Chapter 6 is that they all perished. You are listening at novel full.Audio. Grizzly Fleet. Flagship, Lord, the Qingyuan has entered the designated interception area according to the scheduled plan. The other fleets responsible for interception have already entered the designated area. The flagship captain looked at the Grizzly Lord on the big screen. The Grizzly Lord nodded in satisfaction and said, "Great, send the order. Prepare to attack the planet Sarah. I am waiting for good news of your victory on Grizzly." Yes, the flagship captain stood up straight. "Captain, I have a question," the secretary next to me couldn't help but speak out. "Say. Why are the intercepting fleets you hired this time all non-mainstream fleets, especially the Qingyuan Fleet? A fleet is so poor that only one T1 level interstellar aircraft carrier is left. Leave the interception task to them, they probably won't be able to complete it. And the remuneration we offer is still 3 times normal. With this payment, we can definitely hire 3 times more troops than we do now." The secretary inquired. The captain of the flagship looked out the window at Sarah and said with a sly smile, "Who said I wanted them to intercept successfully? The result I wanted was that they failed to intercept and the entire army was destroyed. If they die, who will come with me to demand this reward, and then this reward will not belong to us. If they fail to complete the scheduled task and leave the front line ahead of schedule, we can not only refuse to pay the remuneration, but also demand a penalty from them." The secretary was taken aback for a moment, then she looked at the captain in surprise and said, "What do you mean? Is to have these hired fleets die, so that we can greatly save a sum of money?" "That's right, as for the safety behind us, you don't have to worry. I have already reserved a portion of the fleet, and even if they can't support the scheduled time, it won't have any impact on us," the flagship captain chuckled lightly. The secretary gave a thumbs up to the captain of the flagship. It was a minimum cost for the maximum gain. Fortunately, she is an interstellar female soldier who can climb to the position of flagship captain. The Qingyuan has sailed into the combat area. In 10 minutes, the Grizzly Lord's Grizzly Fleet will launch an attack on the planet Sarah. Report, the entire ship is ready and all combat personnel have entered combat mode. Vice Captain Tang Yuan, dressed neatly, was standing on the bridge at the moment, waking up from sleep in just 1 or 2 hours. She woke up the entire battleship, and over 3,000 interstellar female soldiers were busy at this moment. Everyone knows the importance of this battle for their Qingyuan. 10 minutes later. Report. The Grizzly Fleet has engaged in battle with the garrison fleet of Sarah. Xiao Rongrong, the secretary, reported. Vice Captain Tang Yuan looked at the countdown on the nearby screen. 4 hours. Their task is to hold on here for 4 hours without letting any fleet from the Kingdom of Iwak pass by. All she can do now is pray that the fleet of the Kingdom of Iwak will come later and fewer starships will come. As time passed, all the female soldiers on the bridge were extremely nervous. The battle on Sarah lasted for half an hour. The reconnaissance plane sent by the Qingyuan finally received news. Report, our reconnaissance plane has detected the reinforcements fleet of the Kingdom of Iwak, shouted the female communication soldier loudly. How many enemy ships are there? When Vice Captain Tang Yuan asked this question, her fists clenched tightly. Half a minute later. Report, reconnaissance planes have detected that there are 6 T-1 Short Sword class interstellar destroyers and 4 T-1 Borzoi class interstellar frigates in this fleet of the Iwak Kingdom, said the communication female soldier. 10 ships. Vice Captain Tang Yuan lightly bit his vermilion lips. The Short Sword class interstellar destroyer belongs to the T-1 class of light interstellar destroyers, mainly equipped with small energy guns. The armor strength is not high, but the firepower is quite fierce. The main task is to provide short-term firepower output. As long as one ship appears within our attack range, our Qingyuan may be destroyed. The Borzoi-class interstellar frigate belongs to the T1 class of light interstellar frigates, with fast speed, moderate armor, and is equipped with artillery and medium to short-range missiles. The main tasks undertaken are escort, patrol, surveillance, and combat support, and the anti-aircraft guns carried by it pose a significant threat to our interstellar carrier-based aircraft. Mind eliminating the Borzoi-class interstellar frigate at the beginning of the battle. Secretary Qiao Rongrong quickly revealed the enemy's data intelligence. Send my command, all interstellar carrier-based aircraft are ready to take off. There are no second or third echelons, only this opportunity for combat. Once the enemy locks onto the location of our Qingyuan, any starship that rushes towards us is our failure. Vice Captain Tang Yuan gritted his teeth and said. For an aircraft carrier starship without any starship protection, being discovered by the enemy represents the arrival of death. Yes, Qiao Rongrong quickly conveyed the command. Meanwhile, the captain's hat was placed in front of Qiao Rongrong. Sister Tang. Secretary Qiao Rongrong looked at Tang Yuan with flowing long hair next to her in surprise. The task of commanding the bridge has been entrusted to you. I will pilot the fighter jet. Tang Yuan smiled and looked at the Secretary Qiao Rongrong. Secretary Qiao Rongrong quickly grabbed Tang Yuan's hem and said, Deputy Captain, how can this be done? You can't do such a dangerous thing. Dangerous. Indeed, this task was very dangerous. I remember the computer calculated the data and we only had a 20% chance of winning. I chose the task this time. Since I chose it, how could I let sisters take the risk and hide behind myself? And don't forget, before becoming a captain, I was a top interstellar fighter pilot. Tang Yuan raised the corner of her mouth and clenched the hand of the Secretary Qiao Rongrong, saying, Rongrong, I can rest assured that the bridge will be handed over to you. After speaking, Tang Yuan too left the bridge without looking back. All the female soldiers watching the deputy captain leave were filled with tears. Secretary Qiao Rongrong suppressed her sadness and said, Now, my Secretary Qiao Rongrong will take over the command of the Qingyuan. All interstellar fighter jets are ready and will be deployed within 10 minutes. Understood. Aircraft warehouse, move it, move it. Push the fighter jets to the ejection port. Seize the time, seize the time. The fighter pilot roared loudly, his throat almost hoarse. At this moment, she noticed that there were 10 more Grey Wolf fighter jets in the innermost compartment. Strange. Why don't I remember there are still fighter jets here? Did I forget before? She couldn't care about these, so the mechanic conducted an electrical inspection on these fighter jets. If there were no problems, she arranged for the pilot to pilot them and prepare for takeoff. Someone, drag these fighter jets to the ejection port too. Hurry up. Arrange a fighter jet for me. A voice came from behind, and the fighter pilot came to her senses. When she saw the person coming, her eyes widened instantly. Co-captain. Tang Yuan held a helmet and was wearing a fighter pilot suit. She said with great courage, I am now a fighter pilot. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. What did this new captain do to our fighter jet? You are listening at novel full.audio. Tang Yuan looked at the Grey Wolf fighter jet that had just been towed out in front of her. Vice Captain, I'm sorry. The USS Wasp fighter jets have already been flown out, and only these Grey Wolf fighter jets are left, the aircraft controller apologized. It's okay, no matter what fighter plane you're flying, you're fighting for the Qingyuan. Tang Yuan stepped on the ladder and sat in the cabin of the Grey Wolf fighter jet. Who has ever drunk a beverage bottle? Tang Yuan looked at the beverage bottle placed on the seat in surprise, with several food packaging bags next to it. It seems that someone is stealing food here, Tang Yuan instinctively thought, but now is not the time to worry about these things. She threw these garbage out of the cabin and closed the hood. Debugging this fighter jet. After confirming that there were no issues, she conveyed instructions to leave the ship. Subsequently, the Grey Wolf interstellar fighter jet was pushed onto the catapult compartment. Get ready to take off. The operator outside the fighter waved the signal light in his hand. Kazi the entire ejection compartment was pushed up by the elevator and gradually disappeared in front of the staff. From another perspective, fighter jets appeared on the flight deck outside the Qingyuan aircraft carrier Starship. Tang Yuan raised her head, and outside the cockpit was a vast expanse of stars. She could also see the fighter planes circling outside, waiting for the formation to depart. She pressed the takeoff button. Shwa the next second, the catapult rushed out with the interstellar fighter jet, and in a very short amount of time, it reached an extremely fast speed and flew away from the Qingyuan. Report. 104 Wolf fighter jets and 14 B fighter jets have all taken off. The hangar manager reported with a communicator. Bridge Secretary Qiao Rongrong solemnly opened the communicator and said, "The first squadron consists of 14 USS Wasp fighter jets, and the remaining 104 fighter jets each form 4 squadrons. You can set off now. My secretary Qiao Rongrong, on behalf of the sisters on the Qingyuan, is waiting for your triumph." Speaking, Qiao Rongrong stood up and saluted. At this moment, all the female starfighters on the Qingyuan stopped their work and saluted the sisters on this expedition. At the same time, Tang Yuan saw various mechas on the Qingyuan, facing them as if standing in awe. All mecha battle teams, bid farewell to our soldiers. Rona sat inside the mecha, holding a bottle of liquor in her hand. At this moment, tears were streaming down her face. Finally, she couldn't help but open the public communication channel and growled, "Tang Yuan, you stinking woman, must come back alive for me, and bring our sisters back alive." Tang Yuan finally glanced at the Qingyuan, a starship that had left him immersed in countless hopes. 118 interstellar fighter jets began to sail towards the distance. "I am Qi Bing, the overall commander of this mission. According to our mission requirements, we will now disconnect communication with the Qingyuan to prevent our communication from being detected by enemy ships. Do you understand?" A woman's voice came from the fighter's communicator. "Understood," Tang Yuan said. Subsequently, she shut down most of the communication functions of the fighter jet. At this moment, their 118 interstellar fighter jets are completely like kites with broken strings. Captain Tang Yuan. At this moment, a woman with white hair appeared on the screen on Tang Yuan's side. Qi Bing. Tang Yuan smiled at the woman, who was the overall commander of this fighter mission, Qi Bing. "I knew this kind of mission, you would definitely set out in person. In that case, how about I give the command of this mission to the captain?" Qi Bing smiled and said. "Don't worry, my current identity is just a female soldier piloting a fighter jet. Whatever you want to command me, just command me. Besides, I am the co-captain, so don't always call me captain." Tang Yuan helplessly looks at Qi Bing. This woman and she are sisters who have risked their lives. Her flying skills on the Qingyuan are absolutely first-class. That's not possible. In my mind, you are the captain of the Qingyuan. That male captain who parachuted in is just a piece of trash. Why would a man join the army? It's useless. Qi Bing's words did not conceal his disdain for the new male captain. Male captain. Tang Yuan couldn't help but see the appearance of Sun He in front of her, probably not having a chance to meet him again. Alright, let's not talk about that anymore. Honestly, complete this task, and when you go back, I'll treat you to grilled skewers. That's what you said. I'll have to have another box of beer then. Between jokes, it seemed like it was just an ordinary battle, but they were very clear in their hearts. Even if they win this battle, not many of the more than 100 sisters will return alive. Hiss. At this moment, a strange situation appeared on the dashboard of all the fighter jets, and at the same time, a male voice came out. "Hello everyone, my name is Sun He. I am the captain of the Qingyuan, and I know my voice is appearing here at this moment. You must be very surprised and have many doubts. But when you win, I will explain these to you clearly. What I want to explain to you now is 3 points. The fighter jet you are piloting has already been modified by me." Tang Yuan's pupils dilated. What did she hear? She actually heard Sun He's voice, and he even said he had modified the fighter jet. If what he said is true, he is a madman, and the fighter is the life of their pilots. If he makes a mistake, their sisters will be in danger this time. Tang Yuan, what the hell is going on? How could you let a man touch our fighter jet? Qi Bing's angry voice came in. I'm not sure. Tang Yuan was also very confused at the moment, because she had cut off communication with the Qingyuan ship, and she couldn't contact the secretary Qiao Rongrong. Treading on a horse, this stinky man. Don't let me see him again when I go back, or I'll just hit this guy's head with a machine gun. A curse from Qi Bing came through the communication. A few black lines appeared on Tang Yuan's forehead. What exactly is Sun He doing? And now they are bowing without turning their heads, flying forward for another 10 minutes to reach the route of the enemy warship. I have finished the first 2 points, mainly focusing on improving the performance of the fighter jet. You will definitely feel it when driving the fighter jet. The last and most crucial point is that I have changed the system of the fighter jet to the Howl Dragon system, because I am worried that you may not be familiar with the system for a while, so I still keep some of the original system. And this time, the additional Xiaolong system is mainly equipped with the Dragon Net Strategic Core, which is passive and does not require your operation. You will experience its effects in combat. I believe you will definitely come back victorious this time. Sun He, I will be waiting for you on the Qingyuan. Voice hanging up. All the pilots of the fighter jets listening to this speech are in a fog. Vice Captain, what should we do about this? Qi Bing angrily questioned Tang Yuan. Tang Yuan sighed and said, we can't turn back now. At least so far, we haven't found any problems on the fighter jet. Since that's the case, let's just grit our teeth. Qi Bing wanted to say something more, but thinking about it, that's all he can do. All the fighters have listened carefully. You can consider the voice just now as if you haven't heard it before, and just drive the fighters according to your original combat style. Understood. A few minutes later. In the distant starry sky, 10 warships appeared. P.S. New book seeking various support. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. What exactly is going on with these interstellar fighters? You are listening at novel full.Audio. Found the target. The enemy fleet advanced in a conical formation. Qi Bing's voice began to ring among all the fighter jets. The first team infiltrated directly and attacked 6 short sword-class interstellar destroyers. The remaining 4 teams were responsible for 1 peripheral Borzoi-class interstellar frigate. The anti-aircraft guns of the frigate pose a great threat to us, and we must eliminate them first no matter what. Allow the use of Grey Wolf missiles. Upon hearing the order given by Qi Bing, Tang Yuan's heart sank. She was very aware that these 14 Wasp fighter jets were attacking the 6 short sword-class interstellar destroyers, which was using their lives to delay time. But Tang Yuan is also aware that this is currently the most effective tactical solution. Understood. The remaining 4 team captains all accepted orders. The fighter jet team gradually divided into 5 tiers. At the same time, they began to make their fighter jets fly at the fastest speed possible. Oh, why is the speed of this Chufeng fighter jet faster than before? Qi Bing realized something was wrong at this moment. Having the experience of piloting over 100 Nestle fighter jets, I used to fly at a constant speed to prevent the Grey Wolf fighter jets from falling behind. At this moment, as soon as it accelerated, Qi Bing immediately noticed the changes. The speed improvement efficiency of the B fighter jet has increased by 60% compared to before, while consuming less energy. And the maximum speed has also been further improved. Is this? Qi Bing recalled the man's voice that had appeared before. Dee. At this moment, the fighter's surveillance radar received a response, indicating that the interstellar warships of the Ivac Kingdom had detected this group of unwelcome guests and were about to respond to them. Let's not worry about these for now, the most important thing is the battle in front of him. Qi Bing quickly adapted to the speed of the fledgling B fighter jet. The flagship of the Ivac Kingdom fleet. It is a short sword-class interstellar destroyer, and the highest commander of this fleet is on this starship. A group of blue-skinned aliens with two pointed ears on each side of their heads are controlling these starships. This is the Yuuk people. Report, discovered interstellar fighter jets from the Galactic Alliance. The estimated number is over 100. Radar Corps reported. The captain held his head high and asked calmly, what kind of fighter are they? Less than 100 T-1 Grey Wolf fighter jets and a dozen T-2 Hornet fighter jets, said the radar soldier. Is that all? Have you not found any other starships around? No. We have deployed our radar network and have not found any starships other than these fighter jets. The captain of the Yuuk crew showed a disdainful expression and said, these people from the Galactic Alliance are really arrogant, thinking that they rely on these few hundred interstellar fighters, almost all of which are T-1 fighters. Can we resist it? Are these 10 interstellar warships? Foolish people are just talking about their dreams. I don't think they can even cross our frigate's defense line. Report. The front squadron has already passed the Borzoi-class interstellar frigate and is preparing to launch an attack on our short sword-class interstellar destroyer. Their speed is very. Something's wrong, the speed of that Wasp fighter jet far exceeds the maximum speed of this fighter jet, the sergeant on the side hurriedly said. How about that? We have 6 short sword-class interstellar destroyers here. Send my command, all starships will deploy drone formations. And use their respective anti-aircraft firepower to annihilate enemy planes. The captain of the Yuuk people waved his hand with a confident look of victory. The battle began soon. The first to launch the attack was naturally the interstellar fighter jet group of the Qingyuan, which relied on extremely fast speed to approach these frigates and launch their own Grey Wolf missiles. The main combat methods of Grey Wolf fighter jets are 3. Fixed machine guns, laser guns, and 2-unit Grey Wolf missiles. The Grey Wolf missile is a small missile that causes some damage to the armor of the Borzoi-class interstellar frigate, but it is still difficult to penetrate the soul with one shot. Boom 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 boom. The sound of explosions followed, and the war had already begun. Look at this beautiful melody, this is our punishment for these ignorant Blue Star people from the Ivox. Captain Ivox raised his hands and said confidently. He even saw sparks of several fighter jet explosions, it's really not too beautiful. That. Captain, so far all of our drones have been shot down, and not a single enemy plane has been destroyed yet. Our drones have already lost over 30%. And one of our Borzoi-class interstellar frigates has been severely damaged and urgently needs rescue. The deputy captain next to him whispered. Captain Ivac's expression paused and he instantly turned black. What's going on? Why is the casualty ratio so high? Although our T-1 drones' combat effectiveness cannot match those interstellar fighters, it's impossible for the difference to be so big, right? We suspect that the enemy's fighter jets have actually undergone large-scale upgrades. For example, the Grey Wolf fighter jet has mobility and combat capabilities that are completely equivalent to a quasi-T-2 class fighter jet. As for those Wasp fighter jets, their speed. Our drones can't even catch them, and it's also difficult for our laser guns to target them. In addition, the news from the heavily damaged Borzoi-class interstellar frigate is that they have been attacked by more than a dozen Grey Wolf fighter jets, but their actual combat power far exceeds that of the B-class fighter jets. Even those fake Wolf-class fighter jets may have reached the quasi-T3 level. The T3 fighter jet. How could that be? The captain of the UOC turned pale. The T3 fighter jet is currently the top fighter jet, and even 10 T3 fighter jets are enough to eliminate their short sword-class interstellar destroyer. Your Excellency, what should we do now? The captain of the UOC crew gritted his teeth and said, anyway, they are just 100 T1 and some T2 interstellar fighters. It's impossible for them to have a record at the T3 level, it must be an illusion. Attack, attack. No matter what the cost is, we will eliminate them all. The IVAC Starship began a full-scale counterattack. However, these counterattacks have almost no significant effect in front of these eerie performance fighter jets. What's going on? Why is the performance of this Grey Wolf fighter so strong? Tang Yuan, who was currently piloting a fake Grey Wolf fighter, was also amazed by his own vehicle. She recalled Sun He's words. Is it? All of this he did. But he is just a recent graduate of a college of science and engineering, a master's student, and surprisingly has such ability. Not good, shall we, quickly dodge? At this moment, the communication channel heard the exclamation of companions. Tang Yuan's gaze immediately turned to a Grey Wolf fighter next to her, which had been locked by the frigate's anti-aircraft guns due to being too close to the target interstellar frigate. A dense barrage of bullets was pouring towards her fighter jet, making it difficult to avoid. According to this situation, the female soldier named Xiaowei and her fighter jet will surely perish. DragonNet predicts the enemy's firepower threatening our internal fighter jets, and will automatically screen the supported fighter jets in the area for automatic firepower cover. The fighter pilot can manually disable this operation. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. 118 aircraft. Not a single one is missing. April 5th. You are listening at novel full.audio. Xiaowei heard the shouts of her companions, and she also saw that the enemy frigate's artillery had launched a barrage attack on her. This dense barrage was enough to shatter her fighter jet along with her. Xiaowei lifted her head and looked at the photo of a move stuck in the gap next to her. That was the only photo she had ever taken, with her sister in it. Little sister. I'm sorry, sister broke her promise. Sister can't take you to eat delicious food anymore. When sister is not around, you have to take care of yourself. Boom 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 boom. The accompanying explosion almost came from Xiaowei's ear. But unexpectedly, this had no impact on Xiaowei's fighter jets. The Grey Wolf fighter she was piloting rushed out of the smoke. I'm still alive. Xiaowei wept with joy. On the other side, Tang Yuan witnessed all of this. At that moment, just as the fighter jet was almost certain to die, for fighter jets, including those piloted by Tang Yuan, were around, with automatic firing machine guns and laser cannons. Just as the barrage was about to engulf the Grey Wolf fighter jet, all those attacks were blocked. This is simply unbelievable. Tang Yuan was extremely amazed as she recalled the last part of the previous voice message. Longwang Strategic Core, is this the effect of this thing? This situation gradually emerged on other fighter jets as the battle intensified. Due to the existence of this system, those interstellar fighters are always able to narrowly escape death. As the battle continued, the combat effectiveness of these interstellar fighters became increasingly apparent. The 4th minute of the battle. A Borzoi-class interstellar frigate was directly destroyed, its ammunition compartment exploded, and the entire frigate became a fireworks display in the Milky Way. In the 7th minute of the battle, all the drones released by the Yvok fleet were eliminated. These drones are like moths flying to the flame in front of the Qingyuan interstellar fighter jet, unable to cause any impact. In the 9th minute of the battle, the 2nd Borzoi-class interstellar frigate was destroyed, and the remaining 2 Borzoi-class interstellar frigates were severely damaged, rendering them unable to undertake air defense missions. At this moment, it seemed as if it had completely become an arena for these interstellar fighters. In the 13th minute, a short sword-class interstellar destroyer was destroyed, which could be considered the last straw pressing on the psychological defense line of these Ivoks. Captain, we. At this moment, the gaze of all the Yvok soldiers in the flagship bridge of the Yvok fleet was focused on their captain. One starship after another was destroyed, which created a fear in their hearts towards these interstellar fighters. The captain of the Yvok man clenched his fist, his eyes bloodshot. Retreat! 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 In the end, the captain of the Ivoks issued an order to retreat. At the 15th minute, the Yvok fleet began to retreat. The interstellar fighter jet group of the Qingyuan did not retreat like this, but pursued for a while to ensure that the Yvok fleet would not return, and then chose to stop pursuing. In a continuous 10-minute pursuit, they eliminated another Borzoi-class interstellar frigate and a short sword-class interstellar destroyer, and dealt heavy damage to 2 short sword-class interstellar destroyers. The enemy has retreated. Qi Bing opened the communication and said his first sentence. Her palms are now filled with sweat. It's too tight, and at the same time, it's too crazy. She has never engaged in such an exciting battle in her life. She directly connected to the communication channel with Deputy Captain Tang Yuan. We'll talk about everything later. We've almost run out of ammunition and have very little energy left. Hurry up and return home, said Vice Captain Tang Yuan in a slightly low voice. Qi Bing didn't speak. She knew that her old comrade in arms must be like herself at this moment, with a doubt. And this doubt can only be answered when returning to the Qingyuan. That man. Qingyuan Secretary Qiao Rongrong looked at the time. It had been almost 20 minutes since the departure of the fighter jet fleet, and by now it should have been engaged with the starship of the Yvok fleet. At this moment, every minute and second of time is equivalent to living like a year for her. At this moment, a communication came in. Qiao Rongrong picked up the communicator and a sound came from the other end. Secretary, the task you assigned us has been completed and the goods have been sent out. I understand. Qiao Rongrong hung up the phone. She didn't have the time to pay attention to these things at the moment. All she was thinking about was the battle in the distance. Because in order to prevent the Qingyuan from being detected by enemy ships, communication has always been kept silent. At this moment, they don't know what's happening outside either. They are both hopeful and fearful. They look forward to seeing their fighter jets return, while also fearing the appearance of starships in the Yvok fleet. Some female soldiers with faith are already silently praying at this moment. I don't know how long it has been, it's 20 minutes, or half an hour, 1 hour. Suddenly, someone exclaimed in surprise. Look, there's something approaching ahead. Secretary Qiao Rongrong immediately looked into the distance, and indeed a figure like a black dot was approaching. Secretary, do you want to turn on radar and communication? The female soldier next to her nervously asked. Secretary Qiao Rongrong bit her lips and said in a deep voice, continue to maintain silence in communication and radar, while preparing all combat units for battle. But if it were the co-captain? They know where we are, and even if we don't open communication, they will come back and execute my orders, said the Secretary Qiao Rongrong sternly. She is prepared with both hands. If the enemy fleet is coming, then she is already prepared to fish to death and catch the net. if our fighter jets come back, they will welcome the hero's triumph. All the female soldiers are extremely nervous at this moment, accompanied by the approaching of those black dots. Finally, they saw it clearly. "It's our fighter jet, not the enemy's drone," someone exclaimed in surprise. Secretary Qiao Rongrong immediately ordered, "Send me orders, turn on radar and communication. At the same time, prepare the hangar for the recovery of fighter jets." Yes. At this moment, the entire female soldiers of the Qingyuan became restless. Their hero has returned. 1. 5. 10. 20. Qiao Rongrong heard a female soldier next to her staring at the radar, counting the numbers. "What are you counting?" "I'm counting how many fighter jets have returned." This statement caught the attention of everyone on the bridge. "How many?" Qiao Rongrong held her breath and stared, her fists clenched at an unknown time. A few seconds later, the female soldier showed an incredible expression and said, 118 fighter jets. 118 fighter jets appeared on the radar. None of them were missing. There was an uproar inside the bridge. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Busy Men in the Hangar, 5/5. You are listening at novel full.audio. 118 interstellar fighters, not a single one is missing. All the female soldiers in the bridge were shocked. "Are you sure you didn't count wrong?" Qiao Rongrong asked with a trembling voice. "I've counted it 2 or 3 times, I can't be wrong. It's just 118 planes." At this moment, the face of Deputy Captain Tang Yuan appeared on the projection screen of the communication instrument. "Deputy Captain." All the female soldiers stood up straight and saluted Tang Yuan. "Qiao Rongrong, where is Captain Sun He?" Tang Yuan's first sentence surprised everyone. "Ah." Qiao Rongrong was taken aback for a moment, then muttered softly, "Well. According to your order, shortly after the departure of the fighter group, Captain Sun He was loaded into the escape capsule and sent to the nearby Xiaotangsing." "What?" "Chase me, immediately lock the position of the escape pod and chase him back." Tang Yuan roared almost hysterically. This makes everyone even more puzzled. Secretary. Did you just say Xiaotangsing?" A female soldier next to her suddenly raised her hand and said with a somewhat strange expression. "Yeah. What's wrong?" "After turning on the radar just now, we found a cosmic vortex appearing in the orbit leading to the planet Xiaogu. If we follow the trajectory of launching the escape capsule towards Xiaotangsing from here, it is likely to be influenced by this cosmic vortex, and the direction of the escape capsule will change," the female soldier replied. Qiao Rongrong's heart shook and she said, "Where will the escape pod land?" "This requires calculation and may take 10 minutes, the female soldier replied. "Immediately calculate for me." Tang Yuan's voice came out of the communicator, and it was evident that her voice was quite anxious. This surprised Qiao Rongrong and other female soldiers. They don't understand why Vice Captain Tang Yuan is so concerned about this male captain at this moment. 5 minutes later, Vice Captain Tang Yuan and fighter pilot Qi Bing appeared in the bridge. "Deputy Captain." All the female soldiers stood up straight. "Qi Bing, what's going on over there? Haven't you encountered the starship of the Yuwak fleet?" Rona, who returned earlier, curiously asked Qi Bing. Qi Bing said sternly, "We have encountered the starship of the Ivok fleet." "Why haven't any of your fighter jets been damaged?" Rona asked in confusion. This is also a curious question from other female soldiers. Qi Bing took a deep breath and said, "We met the Ivok fleet and fought fiercely for half an hour. We destroyed 3 Borzoi-class interstellar frigates and 2 short sword-class interstellar destroyers. Except for some of our fighter jets that were damaged, we have not suffered any aircraft damage, nor have any fighter pilots sacrificed their lives. Upon hearing these words, everyone took a deep breath. How could this be? Rona widened her eyes, although it might be a bit inappropriate to say such things. But in their original prediction, even if this mission is ultimately completed, the entire fleet will lose at least 70% of the interstellar fighters. It's all because of that man. Qi Bing looked at Tang Yuan, the deputy captain who had already walked to the side of the secretary Qiao Rongrong with complex eyes. Tang Yuan looked serious and said, "Have you calculated the trajectory of the escape capsule?" "Not yet. It will take another 5 minutes." The female soldier operated the instrument and kept calculating. Tang Yuan looked at Qiao Rongrong and said, "Immediately retrieve the surveillance footage of the aircraft warehouse during our previous 72-hour hibernation period." Ah! Qiao Rongrong looked at the co-captain in confusion. "Don't be fooled, quickly bring it out for me," Tang Yuan urged. She is now extremely anxious and eager to investigate the truth behind all of this. What exactly did that man do? "Report, the surveillance footage of the hangar has been adjusted by someone," said the female soldier. Tang Yuan frowned slightly, but it seemed that she had already anticipated this. "Can it be repaired?" "Can be fixed, it will take a few minutes." "Okay, let me find some other surveillance cameras. I want any video surveillance footage that Captain Sun He appears during this period." Tang Yuan's eyes were shining brightly. Rona, who was standing beside her, looked at Tang Yuan's expression and muttered softly, "What's wrong with her?" "Don't talk, just watch carefully. You'll know what happened later. If that's right, we can successfully complete the task this time." "It's all because of the captain's credit," Qi Bing whispered, his eyes shining with complex radiance. "Report, we have found 2 surveillance videos from the captain's bedroom to the fighter jet warehouse during the hibernation period. The surveillance videos inside the fighter jet warehouse have been repaired by 60%, reported the female soldiers gathering. "First, tune those 2 surveillance videos for me." "Yes." Quickly, 2 surveillance videos were placed on the big screen. For a period of time, 3 days before the Qingyuan, when the female soldiers had just entered a dormant state, Sun He's figure came out of his bedroom, sneaked through the corridor, arrived at the hangar, and then unexpectedly opened the hangar and walked in. "Captain Sun He, we're going to the hangar." Qiao Rongrong widened her eyes in disbelief. Looking at another surveillance video, it was an hour before the female soldiers woke up. The gate of the hangar opened, and a figure leaned against the wall and walked out in a daze. He was also Captain Sun He, but the situation was completely different from before. It was evident that he was very tired and had fallen 3 times on the way back to his bedroom. Qi Bing silently clenched his fist. "Report, the surveillance video inside the hangar has been restored," reported the female soldiers gathering. "Release it for me." Tang Yuan's voice was a bit hoarse. "A surveillance video has appeared. That is the scene of the hangar, where a figure appears and turns on all the lights. Then his figure began to move back and forth among fighter jets, skillfully controlling all the tools. Even in the end, they were surprised to find that the man had pieced together some parts from the fighter cemetery to form a fighter jet." Pounced suddenly, Sun He in the video fell off the top of a fighter jet. "Ah!" The female soldiers who saw this scene screamed. And Sun He fell to the ground, panting heavily. Half a minute later, he stood up again and picked up a bottle of water to gulp down for himself, then took a few bites of the small bread. "Continue working again." He tossed over 100 fighter jets one by one. It's really hard to believe that a man can modify hundreds of fighter jets within 72 hours. Qi Bing felt a heavy and uncomfortable feeling in his chest. And he's just a man, his body is still under the influence of cosmic radiation, Rona muttered beside him. What's going on here? Qiao Rongrong still didn't understand at the moment. Why did Sun He renovate those fighter jets? Why did all 118 fighter jets return victorious in this battle and achieve a brilliant record of destroying 5 enemy starships? Vice Captain Tang Yuan remained silent, his congested eyes still watching the busy figure in the video. Fool. She muttered 2 things in her mouth. During the process of piloting our fighter jets, we found that all of them had undergone modifications, significantly improving their performance, and were equipped with something called the Dragon Net Strategic Core. This system has saved at least a dozen of our sisters' lives on the battlefield. It can be said that if it weren't for Captain Sun He, whether we could win this time would be another matter, Qi Bing said solemnly beside him. The bridge was silent, with no one speaking. Their male captain who parachuted in unexpectedly did such a terrible thing. At this moment, they were watching the lonely and busy figure in the video, and their hearts were filled with mixed feelings. Report, calculate the trajectory of the escape capsule's fall. It should land on planet W38. That is a very dangerous planet. It is filled with monsters and some dangerous cosmic refugees. The female soldiers gathered nearby to report. What? Tang Yuan and others' hearts trembled like a bolt from the blue. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.